When we think of storytelling, we are often thinking about content. We're thinking about the words, the images, the narrative arc, the character development, and such. It's an important part of a story, to be sure. This is the stuff that gets published and told and retold. With restorative storytelling, however, it is the lowest priority to have, high quality content has its place, but certainly does not become a higher priority than two other parts of the story. So whenever there's a story being told, there's the story. There's also the telling of the story, storytelling. So there's the story, there's the telling, and then lastly is the connection between the storyteller and the listener, and that sort of interaction, that sort of natural dialogue that takes place. And when I say dialogue, I mean that there is a literally translates into talking through, dialogue, the talking through from at least two parties. So yes, you can have a dialogue with yourself, but the most restorative dialogues tend to be with another person. So the idea is that the storytelling, from a restorative storytelling standpoint, the storytelling allows the teller and the listener to collaborate together towards restoring a sense of wholeness and connection. That's what we're doing this for. It's not to entertain. It's not even necessarily to teach, but you can entertain and you can teach using the tools of restorative storytelling. It's just the bonus, well, really the primary motivation and goal of restorative storytelling, but if you're interested in entertaining or teaching or healing or what have you, the bonus is this sense of wholeness that comes with the connection restored. So a primary part of that is the storyteller's capacity to listen and pay attention. So there's a tool in restorative storytelling called the story listening tool. And this, like with directional vocality, like you'll see with a variety of the tools, has a up, down, forward, and back component to it. It just helps organize things, and it actually helps you embody the tool, which in my experience makes the tool more real and effective if I can experience it in my body. So we have up, down, forward, back kinds of listening. When we think of listening and paying attention, we often default to the kind that's taught in most schools and is actually imparted by most parents, which is listen to what I'm saying. That's really what we mean by listen. Pay attention means pay attention to what I'm saying, because in the school model, and oftentimes in parenting, is I want you to be able to reflect back to me what I'm saying to you, so that I know that you are understanding this important thing. Good morning. Right there. So we call that narrow listening. It's very useful. It's whenever there's content being exchanged, whether you're teaching, whether you're speaking, offering a keynote, whatever it is that you're doing, it's narrow. This is awesome. Hoping you can hear the klaxon of geese that are right behind me. And that actually helps me transition into wide attention. So wide attention is sometimes considered distracted. Sometimes it is where your attention goes to the periphery, like mine is right now. In the periphery are bits of information that your subconscious has been gathering up. And your attention then encourages your conscious mind to find something that's actually really relevant to the moment, to this particular story, to this particular moment, to this particular audience, that's useful, that your plan, your narrow plan, hasn't acknowledged. So when you use wide listening, you are opening yourself up to everything that's happening around you, both visually and what you're hearing and what you can smell, all of the things. And you attend your attention. You go where your attention goes, and you don't call it distracted. You don't dismiss it, because we trust that our attention is actually going someplace important. And so in wide attention, when we take in the periphery, we get something that other people are missing. And sometimes that is the most important thing, when you're talking about something important, and when you have such a lofty goal of restoring this community to a whole. Usually it's not in your conscious mind and in your narrow plan. It's going to involve things that are in the outskirts, and you are going to actually learn something important there. Same thing goes in the opposite direction, inward and down. So wide attention is the up and out. Narrow attention is the forward and narrow. And then somatic or dense listening is when we really pay attention to what our body is doing. So you've heard this so many times, 11 million bits of information are coming to us in every second, and only 30 or 40, not million, but 30 or 40 bits are conscious. We're aware of them. That's the narrow part. So a lot of that other information is coming in from the periphery, but the lion's share is inside the body. So our subconscious is mostly going to be talking to us through sensations and how our physical body feels and our energetic body. So dense listening is noticing how our environment, our situation, this moment, that word, someone's expression is affecting us. And it's going to provoke us in a certain way to kind of bring back something buried deep in our subconscious and bring it up into the conscious. But it doesn't speak in the conscious language. It speaks in the somatic language. So dense listening or somatic listening is developing a vocabulary of awareness, somatic awareness, so that we can incorporate that into our story. Mid-story, suddenly we feel different. Well, we don't dismiss that, just in the same way that we don't dismiss the periphery with wide attention. We honor what's happening in our body as relevant, if not a priority, and integrate it into what we're doing. So we may pivot in our story. We may take a moment and check in with the audience because you're feeling a certain something, and it's not just about you. You may be picking up on something that's happening in the room through your body, and then you can respond in that way. And the responses we'll talk more about in the open response tool, but this is about the listening, the taking in of information. So that's down. That's down here, is when I am noticing and taking inventory and honoring what my body's doing. And then lastly is the emergent, and that's back. The emergent is not so influenced by how we're supposed to behave or, what's polite or anything like that. It just acknowledges that when we have an aha moment, that everything just kind of needs to stop. So, emergent listening, the back listening, surprise listening, is very deeply connected to how we respond, because the more that we honor when we get something surprising occurs to us, that's listening for the surprise, is emergent listening. When that happens and we actually stop whatever's happening and acknowledge it, it's going to happen much more often. So that is the way in which we do that is similar to the somatic response. We wait for a signal. So there is the hair on our arms stands up, our temperature changes, we feel flushed, we feel, sort of our eyes widen, what have you. And the emergent isn't always sensible. It doesn't always make sense. It isn't always coherent with whatever it is that we're talking about. Say we're mid-story and we suddenly get this notion or an image or a word or what have you, and we feel flushed and we don't understand it. We don't dismiss it in the way that we don't dismiss the periphery, we don't dismiss the body, we don't dismiss these sudden boink images that come to us. In emergent listening, we honor those and respond. We interrupt ourselves, we interrupt the conversation, the lesson, what have you, and we celebrate that that just happened because we are, once again, in all that 11 million bits of information every second that we take in from our listeners, we're recognizing that we just got something. We just got something important, and it hasn't caught up yet to our conscious mind. But by stopping what we're doing and recognizing the two cardinals wrestling over here, or the woodpecker behind me, we are celebrating that something really important happened. And in my experience, every time I've done that, it has been a revelation to whatever conversation or lesson or what have you. I've done it in front of 400 people and stopped what I'm doing and saying, well, this image just popped into my head and I'm not sure why yet. And then I find out why. And sometimes it's just for one person in the room, but oftentimes it affects everybody. And our decorum does not get in the way of doing something truly transformative. Emergent really is the most powerful, jet fuel for that kind of transformative content, that transformative experience. So up, down, forward, back. Up, wide, forward, narrow. Down, somatic, dense. Back, emergent. If the storyteller can use all four of those whenever they are telling a story, they will be able to access something quite powerful, alchemical, transformative, whenever they open their mouth. So I hope you're able to practice those, and you can always get the mini book to learn some exercises to strengthen any of those directions. All right, I'm going to continue my hike.